let me ask you a question that for some reason seems to have sunk beneath the waves. The JFK story, 62 years ago, the president's murdered. It's pretty clear that the story we were told isn't true. And it bothers people because it gets to a core question, which is the president capable of making independent decisions, or is there a threat of physical violence against all American presidents that persists? What is that? Why have these been secret for so long?
Look, the idea of the deep state to me is a convenience more than it is a reality. It's a boogeyman. Why don't they put it out? Because institutions protect themselves, Tucker, as we both know.
Really?
And there is clearly information in those files that are going to make the CIA look bad.
Just the CIA?
Well, whatever. Different
agencies.
No,
not whatever. I mean,
I don't know because I haven't seen
it. So here's...
But it could be the FBI, it could be the CIA.
Okay, so I've always thought that. And then in January, there was a scramble over who's going to get what jobs in the new administration. And at one point, there was someone who was being discussed for a job in the intel world, and a member of the SSCI, the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, Senate Intel Committee, went to the people making the decision and said, you cannot hire this person because this person will be certain to push for the release of the JFK files. So this is in 2025, less than 2 months ago, and you have a sitting member of the United States Senate whose main goal is to keep those files secret. And then you have to ask yourself, what is that?
Yeah.
Exactly. Why?
Yeah.
Why? The CIA has already been discredited. So if you're telling me that 6 weeks ago, a member of the United States Senate was trying to keep someone out of a job in order to keep these files secret, that is to protect the CIA, I don't believe that for a second.
So what do you think it is?
I don't know. But this is, there's no one at the CIA who is involved.
Then.
Actually, who's involved in the Kennedy assassination. There's no one in America who's involved in the Kennedy assassination.
So here's what I know. First of all, I don't believe that the CIA has been completely discredited. I believe in the institutions. They have to be checked. The media used to be in the business of checking the institutions. Now we're in the business of defending them tacitly because we have a president that attacks them all the time. But so Mike Pompeo gets in there. He's in charge of the CIA. Trump says, I'm releasing the files, okay? Somebody says something to Mike Pompeo that he then goes to the president of the United States and says, you can't release these things. And Trump acknowledges it. Now, do I believe that Trump did it under threat? No. I think that Trump just decided that whatever he was being told made sense.
But it's, and I'm not even speaking of Trump or Pompeo, who's a very sinister person. And you're absolutely right. Pompeo was the driver behind that. But who's driving Pompeo? The story doesn't make sense. And by the way, we have the file numbers of most of the files that have not been disclosed. So it's like Trump issues an executive order on January 23rd saying you're going to release this stuff. They kind of can't not release it. And yet now it's the first week of March and they haven't released it. So pressure is currently being applied on the administration not to release those files.
It seems that way.
By whom?
I don't know.
I don't
believe it's the Rockefellers, the Pope, and
I'm not even guessing. All I'm saying is we can say with certainty that there is a force acting on these people, a very serious force, to the point where they're embarrassing themselves because they promised they'd release this and they haven't.
But it's not just that, right? Now we get this weird story about the Epstein files. Who even cares? You know what I mean? Who? I want it released. I believe in transparency. But A.G. Bondi, I don't have any reason to be anti-A.G. Bondi. And she says she's going to release the files. Now, then there's a story about, the New York FBI, they hid all the files. And then we're going to have to get them. We're going to fire this guy who's supposedly, by most accounts, is a pretty solid guy that they had quit. Well, where are the files? Where are they? And because I thought Trump was the antidote to this. And where's your boy Kash Patel? I mean, he went in there to supposedly bust all this up.
I can't answer that.
He put out this weird tweet, that was very general, things are going to change and we're going to do this. And after we learned that someone under his control now, right, because he's the head of the FBI, in that office that's under him, why wasn't he there? Why didn't he go there and say, give me the files, give them to me?
Weren't you just saying the deep state's not real?
I don't know. I don't believe in the deep state as a boogeyman. What the hell is
going on?
But look, they're his guys. I'm just saying, why didn't he go there and say, give me the file?
I can't answer that question. I think it's a great question. But let's just use logic for 1 second. Clearly, if you watch this, in my case, for same as you, 35 years, watching the stuff carefully, and somebody, gets into office, I'm going to do this, that, and the other thing, and then like 5 days later, they're like, well, actually, someone has called that person to say, there's something you didn't know. Here are the consequences of doing that. Someone has applied very serious pressure on this person. Pressure so serious that that person is willing to humiliate himself.
So wait a minute. Here's the part I don't
So
understand.
who's that person exerting the pressure?
But you are uniquely qualified to get this answer, because one of us can call the President of the United States right now and ask him. And the other one is me. So why don't you know?
That's a great question.
It's the only kind I asked.
So what I brought to it was the knowledge that a member of the Senate Intel Committee, I'm not guessing, called over and said, you cannot appoint this person.
So why don't you expose that person, first of all, so we can start chasing
Tom
after
Cotton
him?
of Arkansas did that.
Tom Cotton?
Yes, correct.
And did you ask him?
I haven't. No, I haven't asked him.
I mean, what the hell's
I'd
going
like
on
to.
with you?
I'd like to. And
kind of makes people suspicious of you, by the way.
Go
because
ahead.
if you know that Tom Cotton said you can't pick this person,
that
because,
is correct.
And then you didn't go to him and find out why?
Well, I need to sit down with him. I'm not sure that he'll do an interview with me.
With you?
I'm waiting.
You are like the spirit animal of that administration.
No. But it's a fair look. It's a fair question, and the answer is, I hadn't thought to do that. And there's a lot going on, and I've been distracted, and I've kind of been.
Now I think you're part of the deep state, and just like that,
think that I probably wouldn't be saying any of this. I was part of the deep state,
unless that's what they would do, is make me think that it exists, but you're not sure because it's actually you.
Here's my point.
Please.
I am really concerned, not just because, I am curious and I want to get to the bottom of mysteries, which is true, but I'm really concerned that the failure to disclose big things like details about the murder of a president in a democratic country, republic, that will convince people that our system itself is fake. And it's kind of hard to argue that it's real.
I totally
agree.
If
you can't even know who killed the president.
Transparency is trust.
62 years later, Mike Pompeo was working to keep American citizens from knowing who murdered their president?
And even with UAPs or UFOs, whatever terminology you want, we couldn't get more information. These things are all over the place. Sure, some are helicopters, some are fixed wing. Okay, not all of them. And they don't know? Of course they know.
Well, but what are they, do you think?
I don't know what they are. The point is that they know, and they won't tell us things. Well, I think it is anathema to democracy.
Of course I agree with everything you're saying, except one specific point, which is I'm not sure they know.
They have programmed. They certainly know more than we do. Put it that way.
They do. They may know that they don't really know, which is the scariest thing of all.
Well, again, these are your people. Why don't you talk to them? They love you.
Oh my gosh, I have. And
so what do you got
and
for
I
me?
think
come all the way down here.
We don't
cross
know.
all these
we
bridges.
don't know. And I think that's kind of the scarier answer is
flying over military bases,
shutting them down,
and you
shutting down military.
Yeah, and you don't shoot them down, and then figure out what it was.
Well, maybe you can't. So that's. So look, I mean, I think we're getting to the same answer if there is a very obvious mystery that's publicly known, there's public pressure to solve the mystery, to divulge what you know, and you don't.
Yes.
Then there's a real reason behind it.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.